Welcome back to the NFL picks, and boy, oh boy, do we have some solid areas of red. I think it might have been a historic 4 games that we all got completely wrong. However, we did have a couple games we all got completely right, and overall the records weren't so terrible, particularly with so many Thursday night games, which I think kind of skewed our hopes and dreams. Most people went. I guess we split. Me and Peter went 1 and 2, and Chris and Jason, both with the same picks, went 2 and 1. But in overall, the 3 of us all went 7 and 8. Jason went 9 and 6. He is almost getting mathematically impossible to catch.
I do have a question though. Can I revert my pick here? Because actually, on my actual bet, I did put the Giants here, but I guess this is just whenever we pick it. So I guess got the
That's funny.
red there.
Oh man.
Nah, I'm just kidding.
Well, it's funny because we made a couple bets that were in weird fate, right? I don't know if we would have all picked. Well, I guess I was the only one who picked Chicago, but I was under the impression that Fields would find his way onto the field, and then he did not.
Oh,
so.
I wasn't expecting him to play. When they said he had lacerated shoulder, I was fully expecting him out. So my pick was made with the expectation that he was out.
Yeah, definitely would have changed my tune. But anyways, let's proceed. First game, Thursday Night Football, Buffalo at New England. Buffalo is only a 3.5-point favorite, which gives away my opinion. I'm picking Buffalo here. I'm surprised. I know it's a divisional game. That's only 3.5 points, but I think they can win by more.
This is a tough one. I think that I'm actually going to go New England. Yeah, they saw a little bit of an offensive spark against the Vikings. Now, conversely, of course, their defense imploded, which is concerning for them because that's been the mainstay for them all year. But it'll be a home game for them. I think they're starting to feel like they have a shot at the wild card. I'll take New England.
I'm going to go Buffalo here. Actually, I've forgotten that both teams actually coming off a long week because they both played on the Thursday night, or Thursday, I guess, those Thanksgiving games. But I do like Buffalo to kind of bounce back a little bit and cover that 3.5-point spread. All right, next up we've got Pittsburgh at Atlanta. Looks like Atlanta's favored by 1. Yikes. I guess given that Atlanta's been struggling a little bit lately, Pittsburgh coming off a good win last week, I think I might take Pittsburgh here. Take them to win 2 in a row.
The first of many tricky bets, but I also am picking Pittsburgh here to continue winning and, just take the underdog.
Yeah, essentially a pick 'em with that 1-point spread. Pittsburgh played strong against Cincinnati coming out of the bye and beat the Colts on the road. I think they are, figuring something out there, so I'll give it to Pittsburgh. Next game, Denver at Baltimore, 8.5 spread. Gosh, this is actually the second largest spread on the sheet, it looks like, for this week. I think we all know from what our picks were this week that we're pretty high on the Ravens avenging their loss from last week.
Yeah, I just had to remember back to my score prediction. I guess I did call for a shutout, so technically I guess I would bet Baltimore here. But yeah, to be honest, it's a game I don't really feel comfortable betting against in real life just because of how the offense has kind of performed. It's just I would feel like the game might be a little close, but I'm going to stick with the guns. I said I would call it a shutout, so therefore I'm going to go Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm feeling more confident by the day, so I'm going to go Baltimore here enthusiastically. Next up, Green Bay at Chicago. Green Bay is a 4.5-point favorite. This is tough. I think Green Bay is going to figure it out, though. I think they're going to figure out a way to win and win by enough points. So I guess that's all. We'll see what goes on with their quarterback situation. Two interesting quarterback situations.
Yeah, I mean, if I were Green Bay, and I'm not saying this because this is going to help out a best ball team where I'm making just an incredibly unlikely run and on like a 6-game win streak with a team that's crap and in desperate need of quarterbacks that Jordan Love gets to start. But yeah, the past 2 weeks, the Packers have actually been competitive. and that's with Rodgers being hurt. He's got a rib injury now in addition to the thumb. If I were the Packers, I don't know why you don't start Love, and I think that if they start Love, it'll be enough of a difference to have a healthy quarterback back there. Chicago's defense is awful. Straight up, I would definitely take Green Bay. That 4.5 spread makes it interesting, but I think I'll still take Green Bay because the Trevor Siemian experience wasn't off to a great start against the Jets.
I'm going to shoot for the moon here, and I'm going to go Chicago just because it's a divisional game, and if Rodgers doesn't play, I think it would be quite an interesting storyline of, him not owning the Bears. I guess it doesn't technically count if he starts. So, and we've seen some weird things, like the Chargers, Arizona game came down to like a 1 point. So I'll pick Chicago here. Never know what could happen. All right, next up, we've got Jacksonville at Detroit. Detroit favored by 1. That's interesting. I mean, they definitely put up a good fight against the Bills on that Thanksgiving game. Jacksonville, obviously, leaving a sore taste in our mouths just from the game last week against Baltimore. I'm going to go Jacksonville, though. I don't know. I feel like I trust them a little bit more than Detroit after this season. We'll see.
I've seen enough. Jacksonville is that annoying team, man. I think Peter said really well in our prod of like this loss might make more sense in the future. It looks like they might be on the right path forward, so give me Jacksonville.
Yeah, this one's interesting. Detroit's actually been playing really well as of late, too. They had a chance to take down Buffalo at home. Jacksonville, it's all going to come down. This is a tough game to pick. This is another one I don't think I would want to bet on in real life because, again, just like last week, we just don't know what Jaguars team we're going to get. Are they going to temper expectations and just build off this win correctly, or are they going to get punch drunk from it and come out flat against Detroit? It's tough to say. So I'm actually going to take Detroit because the game's at home. And Detroit, like I said, they've been competitive over the past 4 or 5 weeks. So it should be an exciting game, though. Oh, man. I don't know if we want to say excitement here, but speaking of fireworks, man, it's finally here. Deshaun Watson is apparently going to play in the NFL for the first time since I can't even remember now. 2019, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Or 2020? No, 2020. Yeah, he played in 2020. It's been so long, we can't even remember. But he'll be playing his former team. Cleveland is a 7-point favorite. Houston has looked awful the past few weeks. No, I'm not salty at all about their 15-point loss, soiling my 3-game parlay where I had him at 14.5. But I mean, we know Watson's going to be rusty, but at the same time, like Houston is so bad right now, and while I just don't, there's not really like a sour taste in their mouth from how it all happened. I don't know. I'm going to take Cleveland here, but this game is just incredibly tough to call.
Yeah, I think I'm going to give the edge to Cleveland too. I mean, they just even without Watson, like they have some semblance of an offense. Houston just doesn't. I mean, the last couple of weeks, I mean, they've lost at least by 8 by 13 and then by 15. So Houston just really doesn't have anything going for him right now. So Cleveland.
I was impressed that Cleveland beat Tampa Bay. I felt that was a pretty good one for Tampa Bay to go ahead and win by the 3 points necessary to cover. Houston's bad. They're just bad. And it doesn't give me any pleasure, but I'm picking Cleveland. Next up, New York Jets at Minnesota. Minnesota -3. This is a really, really tough game, boys and girls, because I don't know if the Matt White effect has been fully captured. What's his variance? Minnesota looked hot on Thanksgiving. It's at Minnesota. I want to say the Jets are feeling the magic, and they find a way to cover.
Yeah, give me the Jets.
I can see this game pushing.
Give me the Jets here. The Jets were just a quarterback away, and while I don't expect Mike White to have as good of a game as he did last week where he was playing one of the worst defenses in the league, I think he can do enough, and that's just simply what Zach Wilson wasn't doing for them, which was just awful quarterback play when they just needed slightly below average to win the matchups they were in. So I'll take the Jets, and I'm really interested to see what they do in these last few months of the season.
I was thinking about going the Jets. I don't know if I'm feeling a sweep here, but I do hear what you guys are saying. I think it's going to be a great game. I think both these teams are playing really high. The matchup with Justin Jefferson on Sauce Gardner is kind of really something to be excited about. I'm going to say Minnesota pulls it out, and it's just because they're playing at home. It's legitimately the only reason that I'm going here. And that, maybe I might get my season record just bumped up at least just one to catch up maybe. But anyway, next up we got an NFC East divisional game, Washington at the Giants. Washington favored by 2.5. Is that right?
Yeah. They've been on a win
Over
streak.
The Giants. Man.
The Giants have been on a loss streak.
Too. There's a couple lines here where I was like, let me double check.
Interesting. Okay. I don't know. I mean, I know. Oh gosh. I hate to do this. I hate picking Washington, but they have been playing very well, so I'll pick them. I think maybe they can win by a field goal. It wouldn't surprise me to go either way, though. It's just because if it's an NFC East matchup.
Yeah, this is really the high garbage. I do not like picking this at all. I'm going to go with the Giants because I like points.
I'm going with momentum, and right now, Washington, they're one of the hotter teams in the league. They're past 7 games, 6-1. Their only loss being a 3-point loss to Minnesota, a game that actually, quite honestly, they should have won that game. So give me the surging Washington Commanders. All right, next up, staying in the NFC East with the current division leader, who's been a little up and down as of late. Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Tennessee Titans. They're 5.5-point favorites. Tennessee's defense has been tough this year, but Philadelphia's offense has been tougher. I'll take the Eagles. The 5.5 points might be a little high considering the Titans have one of the slower paces of play in the league. But I think the Eagles can still win this game by a touchdown.
I'm going to take Tennessee here. I think that, Philadelphia's defense, obviously, I think is pretty stacked, but they have some injuries on the defensive line. I think Derrick Henry could really kind of change the game flow for them, and it could turn out to something like the Colts game a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah, give me Tennessee.
I strongly would not pick this game either in real life. I do not like this at all. I'm going to go with Philadelphia being at home with the more explosive units on, I would even say both sides of the ball. But Tennessee's so well coached, they're able to stick with it, and that's what scares me about it. So I can see it going either way. I agree with you, Peter. I think 5.5 is a little rich, so that's what scares me. But I'm going to go with Philadelphia. Next is the Seahawks visiting the LA Rams. Seahawks are 7.5-point favorites. Another line that's kind of annoying, that 0.5 could bite you. But I do anticipate Seahawks showed a lot of offensive firepower. I know it was against Vegas, but I think they're, they've been playing pretty darn well all year. And the Rams are just like going down the tubes. And there's questions of will Stafford play again? I think Aaron Donald has an injury now too. So I feel comfortable going with the Seahawks.
This feels like the free square of the week. Everyone's hurt on the Rams, and it's not like they were very good when the majority of their team was healthy. Seahawks are on a 2-game loss streak, but those were the two teams that have a lot of offensive weapons. I can't see the Rams keeping this one close at all.
Yeah, same. I think the injuries have really just started to catch up with the Rams, so I feel more comfortable picking the Seahawks for this matchup. Next one's really interesting one, actually. There's a couple back-to-back games here I'm really excited about. But Miami at San Francisco. San Francisco favored by 4. I think this is going to be a close game. I think Miami can cover. I really just for the AFC Baltimore fan in me, I hope that San Francisco still wins, but I think Miami can cover this.
Yeah, I also could see Miami just straight up winning, which again, don't love it as a Ravens fan, but this is an extremely interesting game, and I don't think it's the game of the week. I mean, there's so many interesting games, like you said, coming up. So we'll see. But I definitely am keen to watch this one.
Mike McDaniel's homecoming to San Francisco. Miami, I took Houston last week because there's a lot of defensive numbers that showed that it was actually a poor matchup for the Dolphins offensively, Tua in particular. And the Dolphins just said, don't care about those numbers. We're just going to come out and smash. It regretted me as well. I'm sure that the Texans probably have already packed it in for the season, so that probably had something to do with it as well. I think you can take Miami here, and the -4 makes you feel comfortable if this is a close one, and San Francisco wins by, say, a field goal.
I will say one thing, though, before we move on. I forgot about this when picking it. I don't think it's going to change my opinion, but their left tackle might be hurt. And if he
San
is
Francisco's?
hurt, Miami's left tackle.
Miami's left tackle.
And once he got hurt, the offense completely shut down, and that's when they took Tua out of the game because he was just getting rushed a lot. And we know that San Francisco has a good D, so
yeah,
that could be an interesting storyline. Just saying.
It could be. It absolutely could be. I think the other thing, though, when they were up that big, the offense really had no incentive to try and find a formidable plan to address that mid-game. So there's that as well. I don't know. There's also the travel to the West Coast. I don't know, man. You're almost making me pick take my pick back on the spot. But
I know I'm close on this one too now. With that piece of information. But
do you want to do it?
Let's proceed. No, let's not do it.
All right, let's not do it.
You're so ready. You're so ready.
So again, this is another pick we do not recommend people taking. But anyways, next up, this is actually a game I feel very confident about. Kansas City, 1.5 point favorite over Cincinnati. Cincinnati's figured some things out this year, but give me Kansas City. I think that Kansas City has a bad taste in their mouth by getting swept by Cincinnati last year. Remember, they lost in the regular season to them too, right? Cincinnati?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was an exciting one.
Yeah, and Kansas City has not lost a beat after losing Tyreek Hill. I'll take the Chiefs.
Yeah, this one's really interesting. I think this is the week that Chase might be coming back, correct?
Allegedly, yeah.
Yeah, but last week was allegedly also supposed to be, so.
Right. Yeah, this is very interesting. I don't know. Just given what Cincinnati did last year, I feel like they're going to come in pretty fearless. I might take them here. I don't like it for sure because the Ravens are going to have to keep up, but I'm going to take Cincinnati.
Yeah, the Ravens definitely would like Kansas City to win this game. I think with Cincinnati now nipping at their heels, but I don't think they're going to be able to do it. And I honestly think Chase would be a distraction. I have a hunch that even if he does come back, he's going to take a couple reps and he'll be out for the year. I'm not confident he's going to be able to play with the injury as it is. So it might almost be a distraction, a bad idea. They plan for having him, and then it's bad. He's not there. So anyways, I'm going to go with KC. I think 1.5 points is really tight. So you're basically just picking your winner here. And it feels pretty good to me that KC will upset them at home. Next up is the Chargers at Vegas. Chargers are 1.5 point favorite, emphatically picking the Chargers to cover and win. I think Vegas is not the real deal, and I think the Chargers might be starting to click. Keenan Allen looked pretty darn good, so give me the Chargers.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I understand what you're saying about the Raiders, but I also don't think that the Chargers are the real deal either. I just have been unimpressed with the Chargers all season long. Credit to them for not only winning against Arizona last week, but having the courage to do the modern move in the NFL, which is to go for the win, and they got it. They went for 2 instead of kicking the field goal, and that was enough to win. The Raiders, though, they just had a huge win against Seattle on the road in overtime. At the same time, they almost lost to the Broncos. They needed overtime to do that. The fact that this game is at home, I think both these teams are despite the fact that Chargers have 2 more wins on the season, I think both of them are kind of at the same momentum right now, and I'll give the edge to the Raiders.
Oh gosh, I think I might go Chargers just because it's a divisional matchup, and the Chargers seem to play KC pretty well a couple of weeks ago. I think they might win this one. So, I don't like it either. I don't like either of these teams, to be perfectly honest. But let's move on to the next one. Indianapolis at Dallas. Dallas favored by 11. That is the spread of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Indy has been looking fairly good, but I do like Dallas. I think that they could probably cover here.
I'm going to pick Dallas. I think that I saw enough out of Matt Ryan, and the guy's he's a ghost of himself. He just doesn't press downfield. He doesn't take chances, and it's not in a good way. So I think the Dallas defense will eat him alive, and they'll be able to cruise to a victory on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, I think that the Jeff Saturday shakeup and how he kind of changed some things in the roster and the personnel there kind of threw the league for a little bit of a surprise the first 2 weeks. Obviously, they beat the Raiders and came with 1 point of the Eagles. But, yeah, the showing against the Steelers at home was not good last night. And the Steelers just, they might have figured some stuff out, but they're still not that great of a team right now. Dallas, sure, they weren't able to cover against the Giants, but that was due to a missed field goal and a garbage time touchdown. I'll take the Cowboys. All right, and that brings us to our last game of the week, New Orleans at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is favored by 4. Another tough one to pick. We just said, Tampa Bay beat Seattle in Germany before their bye week, but then lost to Cleveland in overtime in a game we all thought that they should have been able to win. New Orleans, they themselves have been down as of late, which included a pretty lifeless loss in San Francisco over the weekend. I think, though, I'm going to go Tampa just because I think that they have more to play for going forward. Maybe. They are in first place in the NFC South, albeit it's only by a game and a half over the Saints, who are last in the NFC South. So, yeah, I guess I'll take Tampa Bay. Again, there's a lot of these games. I'm really interested to see what I actually parlay this week because there's not many games you feel confident about here.
Yikes. I was just trying to look at New Orleans' history against other divisional opponents. I mean, they lost to Carolina in week 3 or something. Not a really great showing here. Yeah, they've been really up and down. I feel like I actually haven't looked at it, but they might be the only team this year who has held a shutout and then been held to a shutout, which really doesn't say much about their roster. It's very confusing. Anyway, I'll go Tampa. I don't really feel great about it because New Orleans, you don't know what you can get, but I feel like they're a little bit more reliable, so I'll go Tampa.
Yeah, the sweep is being had here, at least with us. Tampa Bay for me. I think New Orleans getting a nothing burger last week is really soured my taste of them. And Tampa Bay seems to be getting things figured out a little bit. I like the fact they're using more Rachaad White. I think that's smart for them. It's going to be more explosive. So I'm feeling good about Tampa being able to cover and win by 4 points. That wraps it up for this week. Make sure to leave a comment with your picks. Definitely we'll take, it's kind of fearless to go with this week. I feel like this is a really, really tough week. You have to pick against the spread. You can't take any off, but I think these are really, I think Vegas is good. They're good. So this is a really, really tough week. So best of luck to everyone out there, and we'll see you next week.